the last couple of weeks, we have spent time talking about excuses. And we were talking about obstacles, right? We learned the difference between excuses and obstacles. Excuses being, I'm too tired, I don't have time. Obstacles being things such as, I have neuropathy, or I have some vertebrae in the spine that are fused that may limit the type of exercise that you do. And so that's why we provide progressions or modifications. I want to be very clear. Everything we do here, whatever it is, there's a modification for everything. There's always an alternative for every exercise we do. Always. All right? Guaranteed. Today, I want to spend our time and we're going to talk about myths. All right? We'll get back to the science stuff next week. Okay? We're going to talk about the brain and stuff next week. But, I want to talk about myths. Something a little more fun, right? A little more light. Common myths about exercising and trying to improve your balance. This is one of my favorites because boy, do you get some whoppers here, man. Let me tell you, I've heard some over a 20-year career, you hear some things, right? Like if I don't move, I can't fall. Well, I guess that's true. And that's been said, right? Debunking the myths of older adults, and there are sources here, believe it or not. I did pull sources just in case somebody wanted to go look. But a lot of this is coming from me and my experience and my experience in the field, okay? So many people think falls are a normal part of aging. They're not. The truth is that falls can be prevented. You have the power. This is powerful. You do have the power to reduce your risk. With that being said, reducing your risk of falls is as important as managing your bank account or your portfolio. It's extremely important if you have the goal to stay independent that you work on these things we do in class every day, right? And we've narrowed it down so that we've given you the Cliff's Notes so you don't have to spend 20 or 30 minutes every day doing stuff, right? That's what we have our highlighted exercises for. You do those 2 exercises, usually out of the strength, 1 out of the balance pillar, and you're going to improve your balance, okay? Myth number 1, falling happens to other people and not me, right? I've heard that. And a lot of times, people do not know how bad their balance is until they fall. I always tell this story. My wife and I used to go around when we first started doing these health fairs. We had a booth and we had a big, we had Balance University out there. I have a big old tall sign and people would just, I don't need that. I had a guy walk by and he has a cane and he has an issue. I forget the name of it, but his ankles are swollen up and he's walking with a cane and he walks by and he looks at me and goes, I don't need that. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you are exactly the person that needs this. So we changed our strategy. We went and made a big old sign, huge sign. All it said was, can you balance on 1 foot for 15 seconds? I put that on the table. I put her out in front. She's a little bit better looking than me. So wouldn't you know, about 5 seconds later after it opened, the first person walks in, bags, she's carrying her bags and, getting ready to get all the free stuff. And I see her from about 15 feet away reading my sign and she starts measuring it up and starts lining up. Man, I made a beeline over there because all I could think was liability. So that started it and that became a catchphrase. Can you balance on 1 foot for 15 seconds? The other little fact, British Journal of Sports Medicine just came out and published a recent study about 2 months ago that tells us that they did a study over middle-aged people. If you can't balance on 1 foot for 10 seconds, those people, what they found is you're usually gone in 10 years or less. So that's important information. And that's from middle-aged up, right? We're talking 45 and up. So myth number 2, falling is something normal that happens as you get older. That's not true. Falling is not a natural part of aging. Number 3, if I limit my activity, I won't fall, right? This is in line with what I said earlier, my example. That's quite the opposite. You can't withdraw and expect to avoid falls. We all know what happens when you stop seeing friends, you stop socializing, you stop exercising, the brain shrinks. The brain is malleable. Research has told us that. We've talked about that here. The brain is malleable. Exercise is an essential piece of that puzzle to help form that brain into something that can benefit you when it comes to balance, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and any other neurological diseases. 4, as long as I stay home, I can avoid falling. That's not true either. Over 80% of all falls in older adults occur in the home. The majority of those falls happen in the bathroom. So, Mr. Wolf, the guy that inspired me, the man that inspired me to write Balance University, fell in the bathroom. About 18 months later, he was gone. A lot of complications that occurred during that time, okay? Number 5, muscle strength and flexibility cannot be regained. That's kind of true. However, it's more not true than it is. As we age, it gets harder to build lean muscle tissue. In men, we start losing testosterone. Our testosterone begins to decrease at the age of 30. That's why you see all these testosterone clinics popping around, right? But you have to be careful with those, all right? You have to have somebody that knows what they're doing. Let me say this. Whenever you eat oatmeal, it releases more free testosterone. Whenever we do load-bearing exercises, it releases more free testosterone. Whenever you squat, releases more free testosterone. And ladies, you have testosterone in your bodies too, albeit a whole lot less than men. So you can build muscle tissue, not at the rate that you would if you were 20, right? Okay, so I want to make that clear. Number 6, medications, taking my medications do not increase my risk for a fall. That's not true. Depending on what you're taking, blood pressure medication, NSAIDs, believe it or not, I have a list of these medications on my website on the front page, right? You hit the home page, you can land on it, you click on it, it makes it bigger, right? Polypharmacy, a great majority of our seniors are polypharmacy. They have been prescribed numerous medications, right? And so you have to be careful what's contraindicating. This is a good time for me to tell you, be your own advocate. Just because the doctor prescribes you something doesn't mean it's right, and he may not even look to see what else you're taking. Go home, look that stuff up, and make sure that it's right and there's no contraindications. Be your own advocate, okay? Polypharmacy, taking numerous medications can lead to falls, all right? So you have to be on your A game and make sure that you're looking out for yourself as well. All right, couple more. Number 7, I do not need to get my vision checked every year. We've talked about that in class. You absolutely need to. The vestibular system is so important to balance, right? Number 8, using a cane or walker will make me more dependent. Canes and walkers are aids. Canes and walkers are aids to help prevent falls. If your choice is to become dependent on a cane or walker or fall, what choice are you going to make? You're going to walk with a cane or walker, right? What I would encourage you to do, if that's the case, is to build your leg strength, right? Build your leg strength so that you become more stable. Balance begins in the joints. A lot of times, people may have joint issues that lead to canes or walkers. You need to spend time building your strength and doing balance-specific exercises, right? Research tells us Tai Chi is great, yoga is great, but balance-specific exercises improves your balance at almost a 38-48% greater rate, okay? All right. Number 9, I don't need to talk to my family members or healthcare provider if I'm concerned about my fall risk. I don't want to alarm them. I want to keep my independence. I run into this a lot in our retirement care communities, right? In places like independent living facilities. Because if you fall a number of times in these places, they will transfer you out of there into the next level, assisted care. So that is a dangerous thing. Let me tell you a quick story. I have a client that just told me this week, one of her dear friends was over climbing Mount Vesuvius in Italy. She misstepped, fell, hit her chin, hit her head. All right? They got her down the mountain. She was talking. She was fine. She went back to her hotel room. They cleaned her up, so she just went back to her hotel room. She died that night. Gone. You do not know what's happened after a fall, especially if you've hit in your head. You need to tell someone and go to the ER, or at least go to your doctor and just said, hey, I took a pretty tough fall. I would like to get checked out. Case in point, my son fell off his skateboard. Walked in the house dazed and confused because my wife and my daughter are trained professionals, right? They both work in healthcare. They rushed him to the hospital before I walked out to the road and got his skateboard and got home. He had what's called a subdural hematoma. He cracked his skull at the base of his skull. He was rushed to Miami Children's Hospital where he spent 3 days. Okay? So these things, I did not pick that up, right? So you have to take these seriously, okay? Last one, and we're going to get to work. I don't need to talk to my parent, my spouse, or another adult if I'm concerned about their risk of falling. It may hurt their feelings. Well, I understand that. And there's a way to do this, a caring way to talk to someone. No one likes to be told that they're deteriorating. But truth be told, we're all headed that way. There is a way that you can do it in a loving, caring way. You know, you may say something like, listen, you know I love you and you know I care about you and you know I worry about you. How about trying this balance class? Or how about trying this? Or you can ask them, hey, how are you doing on your feet? You know, I notice you moving around a little bit. You feel strong? You feel stable? Excuse me. So there's caring ways that you can bring this topic up without trying to offend or put someone on the defensive. All right? If you want any more tips, guys, check out the sources on the website. All the references or sources are available at mybalanceuniversity.com. I would strongly encourage you to check them out.